My name is Karen Whitfield. For nearly 18 years, I have worked as a certified retirement planning professional, sitting across the table from people exactly like you, walking through the exact moment when claiming Social Security either locks in a permanently lower check or sets you up for the maximum amount the law allows. And right now, if you were born any time in the 1960s, there is a new rule affecting your filing decision that the vast majority of people in your generation have not even heard about yet. This is not a rumour. This is not something I am speculating on. This is a real change to how the Social Security Administration handles new applications from people born in your exact decade, and it carries a 30-day window that, once it closes, cannot be reopened. So stay with me through this whole video, because by the end you are going to know exactly what changed, why it matters specifically to you and not to your older siblings or your younger cousins, and the precise action you need to take this week if it applies to your situation. Let me start with why this rule is organized by birth decade in the first place, because that detail trips people up constantly. Social Security is not one uniform program that treats every retiree identically. Your full retirement age, the age at which you receive 100% of the benefit you earned with no reduction and no bonus, is determined entirely by the year you were born. If you were born in 1960 or any year after that, your full retirement age is 67. That single number, 67, is the anchor for everything else in this video, so keep it in your mind as we go forward. Here is what most people in their 60s never had clearly explained to them. Filing for Social Security before your full retirement age does not just give you a slightly smaller check. It permanently locks in a reduced amount for the rest of your life. File at 62, the earliest possible age, and your benefit is cut by 30% compared to what you would receive at 67. Not 30% for a few years, 30% forever. On the other end, if you delay past 67 all the way to age 70, your benefit grows by 24% above your full retirement age amount, and that growth is also permanent. So picture a benefit of $2,000 a month at full retirement age. File at 62, and you are looking at roughly $1,400 a month for life. Wait until 70, and that same record pays out roughly $2,480 a month for life. That gap, $1,080 every single month, compounds over a 20-year retirement into more than $259,000 in total lifetime income. That is not a typo, and it is not an exaggeration. That is simple arithmetic applied to a decision most people make in a single afternoon at the Social Security office. Now here is the new rule, and here is exactly why it specifically targets people born in the 1960s. Under the previous process, when someone walked in or logged on to file a new claim, the Social Security representative was not required to walk them through a clear, side-by-side comparison of what their benefit would look like at 62 versus 67 versus 70. Some representatives did this informally, many did not. The result was that a large share of people filed early simply because nobody had ever laid the actual numbers in front of them in a way that made the lifetime cost obvious. The new regulation changes that procedure specifically for new applicants in this birth generation. Representatives are now required to provide a written comparison showing all three claiming ages and the permanent dollar difference between them before your application can be processed. That is a meaningful improvement, and if you have not yet filed, it works in your favour automatically. But the part of this rule that creates real urgency is the second half of it. Alongside that new written comparison requirement, a 30-day reconsideration window was introduced specifically for people born in the 1960s who have already submitted a new application. If you filed within the last 30 days, you currently have the right to withdraw that application completely, free of charge, with zero penalty, and refile later at a different age to lock in a permanently higher benefit. I want to be precise here because this is the detail almost nobody understands correctly. This 30-day window is separate and distinct from the standard withdrawal process that has existed for years, the one tied to Form SSA 521, which allows any beneficiary to withdraw a claim within 12 months, but requires repaying any benefits already received. This new 30-day window for the 1960s birth generation has no repayment requirement and no waiting period qualification. It exists purely because the new procedural rule changed how your application was supposed to be handled in the first place, and the SSA is giving this birth generation a brief corrective period while the new comparison requirement gets fully implemented. 30 days from your application date. Not 30 days from when you read this, 30 days from the date you actually filed. Let me walk you through who this affects and how, because there are really 3 different situations depending on exactly where you are in the process right now. The first group is anyone born in the 1960s who has not yet filed for Social Security at all. If that is you, this rule is entirely good news with no urgency attached. Before your application can be completed, the representative handling your case is now required to put the 62, 67, and 70 comparison in front of you in writing. Use that document. Do not sign anything or finalize a claim until you have actually read it and understood the permanent dollar difference between the 3 ages. Take it home if you need to. Talk it over with a spouse or a family member. There is no rule forcing you to file the moment that paperwork is handed to you. The second group, and this is the group facing the actual deadline, is anyone born in the 1960s who has filed a new application within roughly the last month. If you fall into this category, I want you to stop and think carefully about why you chose the age you chose. Did a representative sit you down and show you the full comparison before you signed? Or did you file the way most people historically have, based on a general sense that you wanted income to start now? If you have any hesitation at all about the age you selected, call the Social Security Administration this week, not next month, at 1-800-772-1213 and ask specifically about the new filer reconsideration window for applicants born in the 1960s under the recent procedural update. Ask them to confirm your exact application date, because that date is what starts the 30-day clock, and ask whether you are still inside that window. If you are, you can withdraw and resubmit later at a higher claiming age with no financial penalty whatsoever for the withdrawal itself. The third group is anyone born in the 1960s who filed more than 30 days ago, sometimes months or years ago, before this new procedure ever existed. I want to be honest with you about this group, because false hope helps nobody. The 30-day reconsideration window does not reach back to cover you. However, you are not without options. The standard 12-month withdrawal process under Form SSA 521 may still apply to you if you are within that broader window, though it does require repaying benefits you have already received, which is a more significant financial step than the simple 30-day version. And if you are past even that 12-month mark, your path forward is not about undoing your original filing age. It is about everything else covered in earlier reviews on this channel: earnings record corrections, spousal benefit recalculations, and delayed retirement credit verification, because even a benefit that was claimed early can sometimes still be increased through other corrections that have nothing to do with your original claiming age. I want to walk through one more real situation to make this concrete, because numbers on a screen do not always land the way a person's actual story does. A woman I will call Diane, born in 1962, retired from a 28-year career in hospital administration this past spring. She filed for Social Security the same week she retired, the way her sister had done a few years earlier, the way it simply seemed like the natural next step. About 3 weeks after filing, a family member mentioned this exact regulation to her, the one specifically affecting people born in her decade. Diane called the SSA, confirmed her application date, and learned she had 6 days left inside her 30-day window. She withdrew her application that same week at no cost and no penalty. Diane's full retirement age is 67. She had filed at 63, locking in a reduction of roughly 25% compared to her full retirement age amount. By withdrawing and planning to refile closer to 67, She preserved the ability to receive the full, uncut benefit instead of a permanently smaller one, a difference in her specific case of several $100s every month for the rest of her life. The only thing that changed Diane's outcome was a single phone call made 6 days before a door closed permanently. Now, I know some of you watching this are thinking about a parent, a sibling, or a close friend rather than your own filing decision. And I want to address that directly because this rule is generational, meaning it does not apply the same way to everyone in your family. If your parents were born in the 1940s or 1950s, this specific 30-day window does not apply to them, though there are other birth year specific provisions that do, which I have covered in other videos on this channel. This rule belongs specifically to the 1960s generation, the group currently sitting in the 60 to 65 age range, right at the heart of the claiming decision. If you have a sibling or a close friend born in this decade who has recently filed or is about to, this is the video to send them, today, not after you finish watching. Let me also address something important about why the SSA does not simply call you when something like this applies to your account. The agency processes an enormous volume of claims through standardized procedures. When a new procedural rule rolls out, it changes how representatives are required to handle future interactions going forward. It does not generate an automatic outreach campaign, contacting everyone who might be affected by the transition period. The new comparison requirement and the 30-day window were announced through official channels and procedural updates, the kind of administrative detail that rarely makes its way into a regular news broadcast and almost never reaches the person sitting at home who filed their claim 3 weeks ago and has no reason to think anything has changed. The notification is not a phone call. The notification is this video, and the action is entirely yours to take from here. So here is exactly what I want you to do, broken into the same 3 situations we covered. If you were born in the 1960s and have not filed yet, wait for and carefully review the written comparison of your benefit at 62, 67, and 70 before signing anything, and do not let anyone rush you through that document. If you were born in the 1960s and filed within the last 30 days, call 1-800-772-1213 today, confirm your exact application date, and ask directly about the new filer reconsideration window for your birth generation. If you were born in the 1960s and filed more than 30 days ago, look into the standard SSA 521 withdrawal process if you are still within 12 months, and if not, focus your attention on earnings record accuracy and other recalculation opportunities rather than the original claiming age itself. One last point I want to leave you with, because it matters more than any single rule covered in this video. Your full retirement age is 67. The financial gap between filing at 62 and filing at 70 is permanent, it is significant, and in most cases it is largely irreversible once enough time passes. This new procedural rule exists to put real numbers in front of you before that decision becomes locked in. Take advantage of it while it is available to you. If this video applies to you or to someone in your life born in the 1960s, share it with them right now before you move on to anything else, because the window this video describes is measured in days, not months. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because Social Security rules are shifting more frequently this year than they have in a long time, and the people who stay informed are the ones who keep every dollar they are owed. In the next video, I am going to walk through exactly what happens to your benefit if you were born in the 1950s and were affected by the windfall elimination provision, including the retroactive payments many of you are still owed right now. I will see you there.